Have you ever been driving and you've got the radio blasting, you're feeling good about the day, then you hear it, that weird noise, the little click, maybe it's the rattle?
Yeah, and it doesn't go away.
Yes.
That's so annoying.
So this morning, I'm on my way to a meeting. I got the radio cranked. I'm in the greatest of moods. And then I hear it tick, 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 tick. And I can feel my mood start slipping, right? So I turned down the radio and I started listening. And I'm like, is that the timing belt? But then I don't hear it anymore. So it's that whole thing, right? You turn down the radio, you don't hear it. And then I'm like, okay, turn the radio back on. I'm singing along to the song. Then about 30 seconds goes by and I'm like, there it is again. So I fucking mute the radio again. I think I hear it. Nope, it's gone.
So annoying.
Here's what drove me crazy. I pushed mute for like the 5th time to try to find this tick, 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 to realize it's in the damn song.
Oh,
It's a sound effect in the song.
That happened to me last night. Fuck, it wasn't in the car though. It was on TV and I was like, what the hell? Is the furnace making some funny noise or something? Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Especially with all this friggin' digitized music now that just come up with all sorts of shit.
All these artsy musicians who think they're adding a ticking noise sound that sounds like a busted timing belt, by the way, is like the height of creativity. It sounds great in the song, don't get me wrong, but go screw yourself. This is Saving the Hustle.
Or something of the sorts.
Everybody wants a piece of me. I'm a lonesome man making history. They say we're all just raindrops in a stream.
So now you have to tell me what song it was.
Unpretty by TLC.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's fucking kicking it old school. It's even worse with the new ones.
Oh, no kidding.
We had our team playing some classics there from our high school days, and I was like, oh, man.
Like Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah.
Kicking it old school is amazing. But I'll tell you, TLC, guys gave me problems.
You got 99 problems, but your bitch ain't one.
Speaking of problems, today I want to dive into a question that every business owner faces at some point. And that's, what's the best way to create a website for your business?
Yeah, in this day and age, for sure.
Well, exactly. And it's like, at a time where business owners don't understand the importance of a website, having the right one is crucial.
Absolutely.
So the question we often get asked is, should we take the DIY route when building a website? Should we hire a web designer or developer, or go that whole monthly subscription platform like Wix or Shopify or WooCommerce? And each option has its own pros and cons. So today, I want to break it down just a little bit to help you decide which path makes the most sense for your goals and your budget.
Yeah, and probably where you're at in your business too, right?
Exactly. So let me explain the 3 types, and then we'll get into how you choose. So first, let's talk about building your own website. Obviously, this is usually the most budget friendly. And if you're tech savvy, you can have a lot of control over the look, the functionality, and it can be really fun to build your own website. But if you're like me, I hate building websites. I know how to do it. They are awful to build. I don't know why people do this as a job. I pat them on the back because it is that skill that I just think is the most torturous skill in all of marketing.
It's admirable though, but also for a business owner that's trying to do it themselves, I don't know, man, you could be spending your efforts like actually working your business.
Exactly.
And trying to drive revenue to be able to pay for people to do that and to have them do it professionally.
Yes.
I've seen the do-it-yourself websites. They're awful.
Most of them, yeah.
You need a professional that knows what the hell he's doing.
Well, and that's the thing. It's a huge learning curve, especially when you're diving into something like WordPress or learning the basics of HTML.
And how many times are you going to do that in your lifetime, Darryl?
Exactly.
Why would you try to master that of all things?
Because it's cheap, right? And that's what people think. They're like, well, I don't really need a website, so I'll just do it myself. It'll be cheap. And you have to remember that time has value too. So if, like you said, it takes a lot of time. And when you weigh that cost carefully, if you have the time and enjoy the challenge, then yeah, go for it. If you're just at the beginning stages, you haven't opened the business yet, you're planning. I always tell this to business owners, when they first come to us as new businesses, startups. Let's get your website going. And they're like, well, hold on. Well, let's talk about opening the business. And I'm like, well, you can't open the business until you have the website.
Yes, I agree. Even I know that.
Yeah. It's like you need to be 100% prepared. So let's talk about that next step of hiring a web designer or developer.
I apologize for cutting you off earlier, by the way. That was
No,
very
that's
rude
okay.
of me.
This is what this is all about. I cut you off. I don't apologize.
You apologize way too fucking much.
Well, not for cutting you off.
Anyway, I felt bad.
Yeah, well, just because I'll cry in the fetal position tonight doesn't mean you have to apologize.
Hey,
Don't worry about it.
If I don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. You're not going to make me feel bad about it now.
So let's talk about spending that dollar and hiring a web designer or developer. Obviously, this is a much pricier option, but you're paying for that expertise, like you mentioned earlier.
You get what you pay for.
100%. I was just going to say that. See, now you're stealing my words.
No, I'm just reading your mind. You complete me. We finish each other's sentences now.
Well, just like what we do in our tasks, a professional will take your vision and make it functional, polished, and 100% it'll be more SEO friendly.
My brother-in-law is a website designer as one of his many hats with his business, but man, is he good at it.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's not for everyone, man. You need to know what the fuck you're doing.
Oh, yeah. And you have to enjoy it. Code can go fuck right off as far as I'm concerned.
Let's remind everyone that you're a marketing consultant and not a website designer.
Yeah, when we're talking code, like I've built websites, many websites in the day. And when you forget an end bracket in the code and the whole website goes down because of this one stupid bracket, I just can't handle it.
That's the old days of the friggin' Commodore 64, though. You remember that?
Exactly.
Oh my God, I hated it. You had to code this shit, and it was like, oh my God, this is awful. I just want to play a video game.
Exactly. But using a professional and spending that money, it's a great choice because you need that customization sometimes, like a booking system or an interactive portfolio or just a simply unique layout. Think of it as paying for peace of mind. You're getting someone who knows how to make your site look sharp, work seamlessly, and the most important part, rank better on search engines.
No kidding. And the complexity of your website too, right? If you're tracking inventory and stuff like that, like that's not for the average Joe.
Exactly.
That is not something you do yourself anymore.
But here's the thing. If you're starting out hiring a pro, it requires that bigger upfront investment, which might be anywhere from a few $100s, depending on how complex your website is, to thousands, like several thousands of dollars. And depending on the complexity, as I said. But don't forget, you need to regularly update and maintain your website. And there are likely additional charges down the road too. So if your budget allows for it, you want a site that stands out. So hire that developer or designer. And that is a great option. Just be prepared for that upfront cost and ask about long-term maintenance fees before you even start. You don't want those surprises down the road.
I've actually had some business owners that, you know, people that were working for the man and decided to take a leap for themselves and believed in the product or believed in the service that they were offering and would ask me, you know, like I created a Facebook page and I'm on Instagram and wherever other platform they may use. And they'll say, well, do I still need a website? What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Boulay?
100%. I do not go to Instagram or Facebook when I'm Googling the best Chinese restaurant in Toronto.
There you go. That's my thought too, but I didn't know.
When I'm in Barrie and I want to look for the best shoe store, I don't go on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or TikTok. I go to Google.
I am with you. So I'm glad we agree.
Yeah.
I'm smarter than I look.
Well, you are. It sucks that I have to look at you so much sometimes, but you are smarter.
We don't have to do video. I could do these in the nude.
Wait, I thought you weren't wearing pants.
You'll never know.
Okay, finally, let's talk about platforms like Wix and Shopify and WooCommerce, because these offer a sort of middle ground solution where you pay a monthly fee for website templates and support and built-in hosting. And if you want e-commerce features, Shopify and WooCommerce are fantastic because they handle everything from payment processing to inventory and really everything in between. But you're also a little bit limited to the platform capabilities.
A little more cookie cutter.
Yeah, that's where it sometimes gets a little tricky. And if you need something highly customized, you're definitely going to hit some walls. And if your customization beyond the template and you decide that's the route you want to go, You can hire people and you can pay for plugins to do this, but those come at a cost, and those are usually a monthly fee. So you're going to pay a monthly fee to Shopify or Wix, and then you're paying for all these different plugins per month, and they add up over time. I've actually had clients say, yeah, we have a Wix website and it's not bad. It's a little expensive. And I say, what do you pay monthly? And they were over $1,000 a month. Apps like this become a hidden cost. And I was shocked. I was floored. I was like, holy man, if you would have took that money, hired a developer to do this website, you would have been out the door. That's like a year's worth of your cost.
Yeah, but like with my recent renovation though, like I got plugins everywhere. Do I have to pay extra for any?
Different plugins.
Bad dad joke out of the way.
That was a bad dad joke. So how do you choose which route is best for you? Well, I'm going to try to give you some quick tips. As we talked about budget, if it is tight, DIY is your best bet out of the gate for now. And I can't stress that enough for now. If you have more room to spend and want something custom, go for the designer. And if you're willing to pay monthly for simplicity and built-in tools, platforms like Shopify and Wix, then that could be your sweet spot. But something important to ask yourself is, how much time do you have? Because as we mentioned, DIY takes time up front to learn, to build, and troubleshoot. Platforms like Wix and Shopify are a little bit faster to get going since they're designed to be user-friendly, but they still take time. And hiring a designer on that side frees up your time, but the process might take weeks or even months depending on the project. And the other important aspect is, how are your technical skills? Because I have people who say, oh, I'm pretty tech savvy, and they say, we're going to build a Shopify site, and they get 20 minutes into their project, and they're like, okay, what do I do next?
That's like buying something from IKEA with no instructions.
That's exactly
Yeah.
That's exactly
No
it.
thanks. Count me out.
But if you're tech adverse, then you have no choice. You have to hire a designer.
Yeah, I agree.
It's simple. Okay, my last point, and the most important, and that is your business goals. Really think about what you want your website to do. If it's simply a brochure site, like we call it, and we call it that because it's a simple website that is literally like a brochure on the internet.
Yeah, it rarely changes. You update it as
Just information.
Yeah.
And it's there to showcase your services. And in that case, DIY or a platform is great because it's nice and easy to do. But if you need e-commerce, you're going to have to go with something like Shopify or WooCommerce or hire that developer because you need that strong set of tools for that. But if you're envisioning something unique, like a client portal, we have lawyers who have asked us, can you build a site with a client portal? And we give them the price. They are shocked. They're like, why is it so expensive? And it's like, because these are integrated systems. Like they're not just...
Takes work.
Yeah.
You're not asking me to change your oil. You're asking me to build you an engine.
Exactly. So remember, the goal is to pick the option that best aligns with your business goals, your budget, and your available time. And I want you to think of building a website like buying a car. It has to be the right fit for you. If you cheap out and buy the car that doesn't fit your lifestyle, you're going to have problems down the road. You're not going to be able to fit stuff in that you want it to fit in. And your website, lastly, should ever be evolving. Whatever you choose today might work for now, but start planning to be better later on. If you did DIY or went with Wix, that's fine for now. But as you grow as a business and you have to put more information on your site and you want to put more detail into your site, then start looking at hiring a developer.
It's definitely not a set it and forget it mindset when it comes to website
No,
management.
100%. You have to jump okay, I'm not even going to get into that. All right, that's my scoop. Jump on the old www and rock that website.
Attaboy.
All right, we'll be right back.
People say new year, new me. But what about new year, new dreams?
Oh, dreams that last beyond January.
Exactly. Let's focus on building something meaningful that lasts.
A stronger financial future starts with a solid plan. #call René of St. Cyr and Associates.
You don't have to build a website right this minute. René.
Yeah. I'm not sure what website I'm building. No, well, I mean, my OnlyFans account's already set up. So,
And you had to call me to set that up.
yeah, that was awkward. Can you upload these videos, Darryl?
Ah!
My face is covered. You'll never recognize me.
Oh, God. All right. What the hell are you talking about today? It better not be your OnlyFans account.
Well, you've been nagging me since we started these episodes about talking to the audience about renting versus owning.
Yes, because we are in an age where it doesn't matter how old you are or young you are, the question comes up. Do I rent a house? Do I buy a house? If I can afford it, do I do that? Do I invest? What do I do?
Should I stay or should I go now?
Yeah, people ask me this question. And you know what I always say? I'm not a fucking financial planner.
Yeah.
Just because I have a podcast with a financial planner on it does not give me the qualifications to answer these questions.
What I always say is hashtag call Renee.
Exactly.
Well, there's no right or wrong answer.
Okay, well, that's good. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
I'm not going to convince you of either as well. I'm not going to try to persuade you to believe or,
Yeah.
for me to try to influence you to think that renting is better or that purchasing is better. It really depends on your circumstances.
So how do you make these kinds of decisions?
I'm going to talk you through it as if I were talking a client through it, and we'll make sense of it.
All right.
So it really depends where you live. So that's typically the first conversation
Okay.
is where are you looking at buying and
Yeah.
where are you looking at renting?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll use myself as an example. So when I sold my home with the anticipation of buying the building we're in, renovating it, and all of that stuff, and we sold a little earlier than we had anticipated because we were at the peak of the markets after year one of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So Megan and I said, you know what? Let's jump on the train while the going is good and let's sell at the peak, the old buy a low, sell high.
Wait a second. You as a financial planner knew the right times in the market?
No. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not timing the market there, but I knew that even if it kept going for another year, that we were somewhere about
Yeah.
the peak.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't want to risk it. So
You pay attention is what you do.
yeah, playing it safe and being a little on the conservative side, we decided to get out and maybe things got a little hotter in the months to come following the sale, but we were close.
Yeah.
So then we knew we had to rent. So we ended up renting a 2-bedroom apartment that really fit our needs, to be honest. It was at the point where the girls were off to school. There was no one but Megan and I and the dogs. And it was in the middle of a pandemic where we couldn't have guests over for a dinner party anyway. Right.
Exactly.
So we just plunked our big TV in the living room there and mounted it on the wall. And we watched a ton of movies and series through the pandemic when we were isolating. And it really ended up doing the trick. But the kicker is because the region that we live in, we were renting for like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no home that I know of that with someone with a mortgage, even if it's a tiny little one, that you're paying a mortgage, you're paying your property taxes, you're paying your utilities, you're paying your insurance, and you're also responsible for the upkeep, right? The upkeep is your repairs, your maintenance, your renovations. There's no way you can live on $1,000 a month.
Exactly.
So we stayed there for 2 years, right? So for $24,000, we lived well, in my opinion. It was super cute. We were the first ones to live in the newly renovated place.
Yeah.
That is because we're in a small northern community, right?
Exactly.
Things are different in the city.
Yeah.
However, things are also a lot more expensive in the city.
Yes.
A $400,000 home here is gorgeous, right?
Yes.
You spend $500,000 on a single dwelling home is beautiful in Kirkland Lake.
Yeah. In Toronto, I could buy a parking spot for that.
Yeah, you get half a condo. It's really important that you set the grounds for where you're looking at buying or renting, because that has a pretty significant impact, in my opinion.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because you got to look at cost of renting and you got to look at cost of homes. The second thing is what we're living through right now is, I wouldn't say a historically high, but it's been a long time since we saw interest rates at these levels.
No kidding.
Right? So someone contemplating buying a home, you have to come up with a down payment. Provided you have that, you're now faced with a really hefty mortgage payment because interest rates are super high compared to what they were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So where do you live and what is the interest rate environment that we're living in?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going through the pros and cons of both as we kind of go down the line of, this conversation of, what is the right decision for you? The next thing, Darryl, is people don't always think of this is flexibility. This is the most common sentence I hear is, I don't want to piss my money away with rent.
Yes.
I want to put it into something.
Yeah.
However,
we've been told this from our parents since the dawn
for sure,
of time.
and it makes sense in many ways.
Yeah.
But if you look at your flexibility, if you are looking at moving around because of job opportunity or just because you want to be adventurous and you want to live in different communities or different parts of the country or different parts of the world,
Yeah.
that if you're going to buy and sell everywhere you go, you're going to be looking at your initial costs,
Yeah.
right? Your purchasing costs are the down payment,
Exactly.
are legal costs, home inspection costs,
Mhm.
probably an appraisal for the lender. And if you hire a realtor for selling your home, then you now have to pay the selling costs, which is,
Exactly.
4 to 6%, I would guess.
Yeah.
So if you're hopping around, let's say every 1 to 2 or 3 years, regardless of the real estate market, it may actually be costing you money to do something like this.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you have to make sure that you live there long enough to pass the principal residence test, right? So that you don't have to pay a capital gains tax in the event that you do sell at a gain.
Yeah, and I've known people like this, and I'm not talking like students who don't have a family and they're jumping city to city. I'm talking actual families of 4,
For sure.
really well off, and they're just renting because that's what the job is going from city to city for a couple years at a time.
Our parents' generation worked for one employer, had,
Exactly.
hopefully a pension plan, and retired with that same employer after 30 some years of
Yeah.
service. But that does not happen anymore.
No.
It's really, really rare.
Exactly.
And people are a lot more mobile. Like a lot of my clients have their families spread all over Canada
Exactly.
and many in the US and many abroad. We've got clients that have, their children are teaching in Korea.
Yeah.
They're in Vietnam. They're working in the US as a nurse or whatever. So anyway, mobility and flexibility can make renting very attractive.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because, even though you probably have to sign a 1-year lease if you're in
Mhm.
any size city, really, but still, after that year, you just pack your furniture. And in fact, you can get a furnished one that you don't even have to pack up your sofa.
Yeah,
You just pack up whatever's in your closet and you leave.
exactly.
Right. So we're in an era now where it's more attractive to rent because people are a lot more mobile,
Yeah.
a lot more adventurous, and a lot more open to moving around. So to me, renting is more attractive than it's ever been.
Yeah, depending on the circumstance.
Depending on the circumstance. Even a vacation home. I get asked often, I'd really like to buy a home in Mexico. I'm like, that's fine. Okay. Let's say you buy a home in Cancun.
Yeah.
Because that's where you want to be. You want to be where there's high traffic and tourism and you buy a home there. Well, you might get tired of traffic and you might get tired of tourism and you might want to be in a quieter area in Mexico. You might not even
Exactly.
wanting to be in Mexico.
Yeah.
You might want to be in Portugal or Spain or Italy.
Yeah.
But if you rent, right,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you decide you've had it with Mexico and you want to change the scenery a little bit and the vibe or the culture. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden you end up in Portugal. Well, you don't have to deal with, foreign tax. You don't have to deal with buying and selling costs. You don't have to deal with any of those headaches.
Yeah.
But getting back to your principal residence, it's not a whole lot different now because people are very, very mobile.
Yeah.
From a financial perspective, it does long-term make sense to buy a home.
Yeah.
So if you're going to stay in the same region and you have the resources,
Mhm.
then, renting versus buying, you end up further ahead by buying and having the equity that you've built in your home. So the biggest pro of buying is building equity in your home and the capital appreciation of that. But that
Yeah.
also has a lot to do with where you live, because if you're in a region like Kirkland Lake is booming now because of the mining industry
Mhm.
and what's going on in the surrounding area. But for, I would say, a decade, we were in essentially a recession.
Yeah.
Like I remember buying my first house for like $34,000 there.
I know, that's insane.
Like it's
If my
insane.
car was more expensive than your house.
Right. So buying versus renting, again, really, really depends on where you live and what the circumstances are.
Yeah.
But like if you have, say, a $500,000 home and you keep it for 20 years and you make those payments religiously, and after 20 years, the house is paid, like that home, even if it grows at 5%, which is, I would say, conservative for the growth of real estate that we've seen in Canada on average, you would have a home that would be worth well over $1 million.
Exactly.
And that's after putting, say, a 10% down. So you've forked up $50,000 immediately and you've made your
Yeah.
mortgage payment instead of a rent payment. But even if you invest that $50,000 and even if you manage to earn, like 8, 9, 10%, you're not going to come anywhere near that 1 million plus that you're going to
Exactly.
have in the equity of your home. So it does make sense long term. Getting back to one of my points earlier is if you're buying and selling because you're mobile, because of your lifestyle or because of your career, you have to factor in the buying and selling costs, the interest rate environment that we're living in, and the region that you live in, if that property is actually going to increase or decrease. Because,
Yeah.
you start selling at a loss because you're moving every 3 years, that could be problematic as well, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's no right or wrong answer. In general, But if I'm talking specifically to one person, we're going to zero down on what makes most sense for them.
Now, when it comes to retirement, because I know people who own their home, they've retired, and they say, we're going to go into a condo. And they go and they sell their house. And then I say, wow, this condo that you bought, I've heard it more times often than not. No, we're just renting. And I'm like, wait a second, you sold your house probably for a couple $1,000,000 and now you're renting? Again, my brain doesn't function for that because I've always been told you sell your house, you move, you're going to buy something smaller, and that's how you're going to retire.
See, but I love that attitude
Yeah.
because now you're in your retirement years and you want, again, the flexibility and the freedom, and you want trouble-free, right?
True. Yes.
You don't want to be worrying about plumbing problems. You don't want to worry about mowing your lawn. You don't want to worry about having to replace the roof every 15 or 20 years, right? You want maintenance free because as you age, even if you were to buy the condo as an example, a lot of the people that I work with, including myself, do not want to mow lawn anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't want that upkeep of the big yard and the flower beds and all of that stuff. Like what I have around the building here is more than enough. And it's all evergreens with mulch. Like it's a very little work.
Yeah.
But for renting, all of the headache is gone. And the only way that I could really put that into perspective is like when you're leasing a vehicle for 3 years and you have 3 years worth of warranty, you know you have a fixed payment.
Yeah.
You know that it's predictable for your budget in retirement. You know that you're not going to have any unexpected costs because you have full warranty and you're not going to hear any of the rattles, even if the music is off. And in 3 years, you get to treat yourself to a brand new vehicle.
Yeah.
Right. So renting is a bit similar. And when you retire, the other thing too, when you mentioned they sell their house for, $1.8 million and then all of a sudden you're renting for $3,500 a month. Well, depends on your age as well too. But let's say you decided to do this at 65 or 70 and you're going to rent for the rest of your life. Well, now you have $1.8 million that you get to play with.
Yeah.
Right? Like you may leave it for your kids anyway and just leave a legacy and have a nice hefty estate, but it also gives you the ability to spend it if you want to do more traveling, if you want to treat the kids and the grandkids now and give them some of that money up front. Instead of having all of your money tied up in real estate, you've now liquidated. So you have access to that cash, right? Instead of taking some reverse mortgage like we've talked about and paying interest and having contracts and additional costs, now you've got this investment that you've taken to us. We put it to work for you. You got 1.8 million that you can now do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
All right. So just to stay on the same example, if you're 65 and we anticipate that you're going to live till age 85 and you're going to be 20 years in retirement and you're renting for $3,500 a month, usually gets you a pretty nice pad.
Yeah.
And you're earning a conservative 4% on your investment, just because you're playing it safe during retirement. That means that you would need $578,000 of your investment to be able to fund that for your entire life. So that means that you have over $1.2 million left over to travel.
Yeah.
And if you rent out of country when you want to winter somewhere, you can spend 3 months in Portugal at another $3,000 a month. And that just chews away at that extra $1.2 million that you've got. It really, really opens the doors to possibilities.
Yeah, no kidding.
And if you're on this earth for 85 years, it goes by fast, man. I'm almost 50, dude. I'm well over the halfway mark. So you start to think of these things. It's like, okay, what do I want to experience in life? What matters to me? What's important? Right?
Exactly.
What are my personal goals to make sure that I don't wake up at 80 saying, fuck, I got 5 years left. There's so much shit to do still.
Yeah.
So renting, although could be less financially advantageous, there's a price to pay for freedom. Right.
Yeah.
And this gives you freedom.
Yeah.
So there's really pros and cons to both options. It really depends where you are in your life, your life stage, your family life, your career. How often are you moving for work or for your lifestyle? Where do you live?
Yeah.
What are your financial resources? Because if you don't even have the down payment, forget it. Don't even consider it. You're just going to rent. That's it.
Yeah.
And then, the emotional side of things is, do I want something that's easy and trouble-free, like a fully insured leased car? With full warranty and zero worries? Or do I buy the vehicle and have to fix it up whenever it breaks? My problem.
In theory, I like it. You say the maintenance free, no mowing the lawn, no fixing the plumbing. But I have to say, I think Aaron's still going to be on my case to do a bunch of this shit around the condo.
Yes.
That doesn't solve
yes.
any of those problems.
Well, if you own the condo, it's one thing. Like, I like the condo life, but I don't think I make a very good condo owner because you have to follow all these strata
rules.
rules. And oh my God, you have to adhere to a certain paint color on your deck. And it's not fun because like I come here and I just do whatever I want, right? Provided
yeah.
I'm following the, the building code. So anyway, that's another thing is
Yeah.
that you have to be okay that if you're going to paint the place from time to time, your landlord might not give you that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And if you're tired of the countertop in the kitchen, that's one thing that I didn't like about our little apartment was that towards the end, after 2 years, like, the countertop was fine,
Yeah.
but it's not something I would have chosen. And if I were to stay here for any length of time, I'd want to change this. Well, who picks
Yeah.
up the tab on that? Right.
Exactly.
Again, it's a very careful process in my opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just what is right for you and have a conversation with someone that knows what the hell they're doing or bounce it off friends.
Yeah.
Just don't ask the wrong friends because sometimes they're just a little too opinionated.
I just want to rent a condo in all my favorite cities.
Yes.
I don't need one house. I need many.
Man, imagine if you had fuck you money like that and you could just go wherever. You just want it to be in the sun somewhere and you just go to Costa Rica because you got a place there.
Yeah. Or like I come home and I'm like, how was your day, Aaron? She's like, well, let me tell you. And I'm like, you know what? I'll be back. And then she calls my cell 2 days later. She's like, where the hell are you? I'm like, Costa Rica. We'll be right back.
January is like Monday. It's your chance to hit reset.
Time to stop spending like it's December and start planning like it's the future.
No more impulse buys, except for that latte. We get it.
Let's make 2025 the year your finances shine. #call René of St. Cyr and Associates.
So I want to take websites or social media and home life and smash them all together and chat about what I call digital decluttering. And really, how to organize your online life that can give you peace of mind.
Yeah, and maybe help you disconnect a little bit too. We're so fucking wired to our devices now.
Oh, no kidding. And it's stressful.
It is stressful. I have a hard time disconnecting. And when I find that I'm cluttered, it makes it 10 times worse.
Well, and speaking of that clutter, we all know the stress of scrolling through endless files on our computer or trying to find that email from months ago. The whole digital clutter can make life feel fucking chaotic. So I want us to talk about a few simple ways to tidy things up.
Just forget 2 months ago, I had to find a receipt from a steakhouse that I went to with Ryan in Orlando.
Oh my God.
2022 because the CRA was asking for it during a travel expense audit and it was legit. And it was the only receipt that I could not find from that trip because we were at a conference for our industry. Try going through 2 desktops and your network and trying to find this receipt that has been stored somewhere.
Well, then that's the thing. We both have careers that require us to have tons of files on our computer and an insane amount of emails at the same time and stuff that we really probably don't need anymore, but is still on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to pick on you for a second. You keep all your stuff super secret, which for your job you have to. I've never seen what your desktop looks like.
You don't want to.
Well, and that's the thing. Are you organized files or do you have thousands of folders and hundreds of screenshots and
hundreds of fucking screenshots and folders? Like I have 3 screens.
Yeah.
It fills 2.5 of the screens.
Holy crap. Well, let me give you some quick tips. About 5 years ago, I was in the same boat. I always had so much on my desktop. I knew where everything was, but it was a mess. Like you open it up and it's like,
oh, it's a mess, dude. Typically what I do is I have to first save the document on my desktop.
Yeah.
There's no sense saving your statement in your client file.
Yeah.
It's an ever-changing document.
Yeah.
So I just save it on the desktop and 90% of the time I email it to you, but then I'll forget to delete it.
Yeah, yeah.
So then every once in a while, like it's mostly PDFs, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
I've got hundreds of PDFs on my monitors that are just sitting there that every once in a while I just have to go through and just delete.
On my desktop, I have multiple folders and it took me a while to get to this point. But at one point I said, I need to be more organized because I feel like when I sit down at my desk, I see all those icons and all those folders and it's like, it's stress, instant stress for me.
I know that makes you anxious.
So now I have a folder on my desktop. It's called Hepburn Productions. I have one called Taming the Hustle. I have a screenwriting one and a few others. But I also have a folder on my desktop called To Sort. And in my calendar, every Friday morning, 10 a.m., I have a meeting scheduled called To Sort. And guess what I do?
You sort stuff.
I sort those fucking random items.
You're committed, man.
I do what you do. So when I'm on with a client, we're doing something, I save a file, I pull it out of an email, it goes to my desktop. And then I try within a few minutes, I try to put it where it belongs. And if I don't get to it before the end of the day, I drag it to sort file. And that's how I do those things.
It's genius.
I think so. I think it's really helped me. I said it's a lot there. The record was skipping. It's just so easy to get lost in all the clutter. And when it gets too overwhelming, you're like, well, fuck that. I don't got time for this.
You too are smarter than you look.
I know. Well, let's talk about your inbox and your email, because I have OCD about notifications.
That I know. We've had conversations about this.
Oh,
If I'm at Daryl's and my phone's on his kitchen table, and you know how like there's a protector, there's a password protector, but the thing will light up every time you get a message and it'll show you how many messages you have. And he'll see like 38 texts. And he's like, how the fuck can you live with yourself? I'm like, that only happened since I arrived here and I'm just being polite and not fucking spending all my life on my phone. That drives you fucking bonkers.
it does.
I know that.
I can't open my phone and see my email icon and it has like a 50 or 100 or 300 or 1,000. I know some people who literally, their job doesn't require email. Okay. They actually work with their hands or something and they're not getting lots of emails. And I'll look at their phone and they got like 692 emails unread. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why do you have so many emails? And they're like, oh, it's just a lot. Like, I got to go through it. Probably stuff I got to delete. I've sat down with people before and we've discussed this because they're like, how do I get organized like you? I've had friends ask me this and I'm like, hey, I'll show you what I do. And when we start going through their email, we look and I'm like, just unsubscribe from stuff and your email is going to be so much lighter. How many Canadian Tire Flyer emails do you need once a week? And you don't even open them.
Yeah.
That's like, why? Just click unsubscribe and that's 5 less emails a week.
I live on my phone, right? That's how we communicate.
Yeah.
I physically can't keep up. I mean, I would have to sleep less,
Yeah.
right? Because you get messages, whether it's work or just social or networking or relationship building or just hanging out with your buds. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook Messenger, you're on text, you're on email. Like
But even within my email, I have folders and labels built in. So when a new email comes in, if I can't get to it, I have a folder that's needs attention. So I'll drag it over there. It gets it out of the inbox. The notification disappears, but I have a folder that I know before the end of the day, I got to click on that and that shit I got to get to.
Meg is like that. And I admire her organizational skills when it comes to that because you look at her inbox and it's almost empty.
Yeah. Your stress just melts away when it's like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry to stress you out, bud. Well, look at the other night. It was a Friday night and I sent you a screenshot of my cell phone.
Yeah.
And after 5 o'clock, like after the offices close, it's the weekend, a Friday night.
Yeah.
I had nearly 40 DocuSign emails saying that clients had signed their forms, right?
You sent me screenshots with everything all blacked out, but it just said DocuSign. And I won't lie, I was stressed out that I cracked open a drink just looking at what you had to do. It's not fair. Okay, my last declutter one that I want to get to before we go. And this is kind of a two-parter. The first is looking at your social media accounts that you have that you don't use. Like for me, I never use Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it now anymore. Yes, I have the account. I'm not going to delete the account because I don't want anybody to use my name. And in case I do want to jump back on, but I deleted it from my phone because I don't need that distraction, right? It brought zero enjoyment to my life. So why do I need it?
Yeah. See, I didn't delete any of the platforms that I don't use, but I turned all the notifications off.
Yeah. That's a simple step too. Yeah.
At least your phone's not lighting up or vibrating every time you get a stupid message on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Or TikTok. Holy, TikTok is friggin' next level friggin' activity there. Whoa.
Well, and the last thing, like when I said it's a two-parter, the other thing you should do on social media is to unfollow those accounts that don't add value or that you feel overwhelmed. At one point, I realized I was following a bunch of accounts that I had actually no idea that I was following these people. I followed this one like chef or whatever at one point because I watched this recipe. I'm like, well, that's great. I'm going to follow this guy. And it was years ago. And I scroll through all the time and I see these weird food things and I'm like, I'm never making that. And I scroll right by. And then one day I stopped on it. I'm like, I'm following this guy. And I had to like go back and I'm like, I don't see anything that I like. Why would I follow? And then I saw like a chicken recipe and I was like from 2 years ago. And I'm like, okay, I got to unfollow this guy. I see him way too much. He adds no value to my life.
I find now, though, that if you don't have that guy that you followed, you're going to have some sort of marketing of some sort, right? Like your feed is filled with so much more than just your friends now. It's crazy.
100%. Yeah. And you can't get rid of the marketing unless you stop going on these platforms.
Stop going on the platform.
Yeah.
Just don't delete Taming the Hustle or something of the sorts.
100%. In fact, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on whatever platform you're listening on right now. Hell, even leave us a review.
And we're smarter than we look.
And don't forget to visit our website because there are only 3 days left for you to vote for us for the Discover Pod's 2024 awards for Best Business Podcast. And if we don't win, there's a good chance I'm probably going to cry.
Yeah, he's pretty sensitive.
Actually, I'll probably cry, win or lose. All right, that's it for today.
So great spending some time with you, bud.
Oh, you too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next time.